Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to the First Empathy Surplus Congress. My name is Chuck Watts. I live in Wilmington, Ohio, and Anna Bruffy is normally presiding at our Empathy Surplus Congress, and she's out sick, and we've got another person that's got computer issues. Another person has work-related conflicts. Another person's getting their COVID shot. So Anna asked me to preside today. So as the temporary president of this Empathy Surplus Congress, I'm calling these hearings to order on Tuesday, April 20th. It's 2 p.m. Eastern time. And before I pull up this Four Empathic Activities that we're going to recite here, I'm going to ask Anita to introduce yourself as well. Where are you? What do you do, Anita?
Hi, I'm Anita Lewis. I'm a nurse and a farmer and an entrepreneur in solar energy. And anyway, so we've been working together here, Chuck and I, going back to, I think, 2011. And so we're now going to do our introduction.
Sure. So I'm pulling this up here so you can see it, Anita. Hold on a second.
Okay.
So can you see that?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
So our Empathy Surplus Congress is a community of practice. Every day we promote the idea of stronger people, progressive markets, better futures, effective government of, by, and for people, and mutual responsibility by practicing four empathic activities. We inwardly digest and use the latest brain insights of Dr. George Lakoff to frame daily caring conversations to promote human rights, invest in weekly congressional hearings about how we apply Dr. Lakoff's insights to advance caring policy directions, implement caring policy directions through partnerships with ethical business, effective government task forces, and other caring society organizations, and invite others to join us and promote a politics of care. So awesome. Thank you, Anita. So we're so over the last week, I have focused mostly on we did our governing board last night, so I had this on the tip of my tongue. I did 20, reached out to about 20 people, mostly about the Human Rights Pocketbook venture, inviting them to do that, and a couple of politicians that I get emails from and commented on their framing, and heard back from one, didn't hear back from another. So what about you? What have you done this past
well,
week?
Yeah, I've been working with our representatives from Guyana and Malawi, and basically, well, we keep focusing on the United Nations SDGs and the -- ending poverty and how we can do that. And wound up making a donation to Malawi to keep to elderly women from going to the poorhouse. And working with our young family that's here and their little boy who's 4. And so I have another friend that I've reached out to. She's a retired school teacher. And she says, he's my little starfish. And so we see making stars out of starfish here.
Oh, that's cool.
So just trying to give these children a better head start to get them ready for the American school system.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's cool. That's
yeah.
neat. That's neat. So it looks like it's us, and we're currently studying your brain's politics by doctors George Lakoff and Elizabeth Whaling. And specifically, we're supposed to be discussing today chapter 7.2, moral religion, how God's commandments arise from our embodied mind. And of course, during this time, we've got, we each have, this is going to be a short Congress today because there are only two of us doing our 3-minute testimonies. Typically we can either read a prepared remarks or off the cuff. Members are invited to apply their insights from the material to frame a testimony that speaks to their particular centers of influence from their particular ethical business. Maybe it's a civil society organization or government task force. And of course, people can pass. But what was your word or phrase in a half a minute?
Well,
before we get into our 3-minute testimonies.
Okay, the phrase that I like is that our sense of morality does not directly emanate from religion.
Okay. And mine was nurturing gods encourage us. I wonder if, since it's just the two of us and this was a short section, maybe we could just read it. And,
okay, let's do.
And our YouTube viewers kind of can know what we're discussing.
Okay.
So you want to be Elizabeth and I'll be George?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Many people see religion as the source of moral values. For many, religion defines what is moral and immoral action.
It's true that many people see religion as a source of morality. That's a very common assumption, but it's not entirely correct. Morality and religion are closely connected, but in a different way. One sense of morality does not directly emanate from religion. It originates outside of religion as part of our general cognition development. We acquire a system of metaphors for morality through our experiences in the world, in our families, and in society. It's not religion in itself that tells us what constitutes moral or immoral behavior. It's the other way around. We unconsciously map our reasoning about morality onto religion and religious scripts. And that's an important fact. Since the beginning of time, religions have been formed and changed by people's moral beliefs and reasoning, which largely originate outside the religion.
So religious values come about as we interpret a given religion in terms of our moral beliefs.
And because we hold different beliefs about right and wrong, we can hold different sets of religious values. Those values will then guide our religious reasoning and actions. But how exactly do we map our moral beliefs onto religion?
First of all, in any given religion, we must select a metaphor for God.
The most common metaphor is God as Father. So let's assume you use that metaphor. You conceptualize God as a parental figure. Now you have to decide what kind of parent he is going to be and what behaviors he wants to foster in you and how he will teach you to be a good kid.
In short, we unconsciously have to decide whether our Heavenly Father is a strict or nurturant parent and what will count as good and bad behavior in his eyes.
Exactly. And see, when you go to Hebrew school and you are being taught the Torah, you're not just being taught the literal text itself. The meaning of the Torah only exists in the context of its interpretations. And those interpretations can be contradictory. So, I'm pulling up my my thing. Since it's just the two of us, you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Okay, well, okay. Oddly, after reading this chapter, I now realize that I have no fond memories ever involving religion. The closest I came to was the sweet feelings towards the baby Jesus. But even as a child, I believed that the virgin birth was a fairy tale. And I saw every story in the Bible as fairy tales because I heard fairy tales at the same time I was hearing Bible stories. So when I stopped believing in Santa Claus, I guess I stopped believing in the whole God the Father, that whole thing. So, but interestingly, as a segue from that, I was raised in a family that was very regimented, and we loved uniforms. And that's probably, and I grew up always loving uniforms. So that probably happened because my favorite brother at that time was in the Marines during the Korean conflict, and he was dashing in his corporal's uniform. And the only good stories I remember from childhood had to do with him. And even as a girl, I wanted to be a nun. I was raised Catholic. I wanted to be a nun because I loved to read, and they just looked so great in their habits. And I just wanted to belong to that. And so even in nursing school 45 years ago, when I was studying medieval philosophy, and long before I learned of the existence of physics and string theory, and I became a fan of the medieval philosopher Plotinus. And Plotinus lived in the 4th century. So this is a long time ago, like almost 1700 years ago. But he stated, our thought cannot grasp the one as long as any other image remains active in the soul. To this end, you must set free your soul from all outward things and turn wholly within yourself, with no more leaning to what lies outside, and lay your mind bare of ideal forms and forget even yourself, and so come within the sight of the one. So then my next evolutionary step was meditation. And then I was introduced to secular humanism. So secular humanism posits that human beings are capable of being ethical and moral without religion or without belief in a deity. The happy human is recognized as the official symbol of humanism internationally, and it's used by secular humanist organizations in every part of the world. So we secular humanists believe that moral development should be cultivated in children and young adults. We do not believe that any particular sect can claim important values as their exclusive property. Hence, it is the duty of the public education to deal with these values. Accordingly, we support moral education in the schools that is designed to develop an appreciation for moral virtues, intelligence, and the building of character. The democracy of care, shared responsibility, and trust is the democracy of the American dream. The democracy of no care, no shared responsibility, and no trust has produced the American nightmare that so many of our citizens are living through. We are progressives. We are open to progress. we seek a better way. In our weekly gatherings, we not only enjoy the camaraderie, but we push each other to strive for better understanding of our world. Now, talk of the American dream is not enough for me. I want more. And last night I watched the movie about the work of Gary Davis, Global Citizen #1. I will watch it again tonight on PBS. It comes on at 11 o'clock. And I think that most of us around the world want to be global citizens. I now realize that my life, my work, my travels have all been in search of fellow global citizens. And I am going after that global passport. And that's it.
Cool. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Anita. So let me get mine up here. My word or phrase out of this, from this section, nurturing gods encourage us. No matter whether you're a humanist, Christian, Jew, Muslim, or another religious follower, a nurturing God or nurturing values encourage us all. Caring societies are filled with strong, healthy, caring citizens who respect, protect, and promote each other's human rights every day. In fact, in all caring societies, empathy for and responsibility to others is the foundation of human rights, the soul of democracy, and our mutual responsibility. And without sufficient empathy, public investment in better futures to respect, protect, and promote human rights shrinks. Nurturing gods encourages. In fact, the vast majority of Americans want safe communities where we can fulfill our lives and treat everyone and be treated fairly. Consequently, nurturing gods encourage community duties of care and service, collaboration, effective and human rights centered. Nurturing gods encourage us. In addition, such encouragement leads to progressive markets filled with ethical businesses that protect and promote human rights and make a prosperous life possible. Moreover, caring circular economies are designed by an effective, nurturant government and can ensure that our liberties and opportunities are expanded. Therefore, progressive policies must be based on an honest, open, and trustworthy assessment of how well we integrate the language of human rights in our daily lives. Nurturing gods encourage us. Cognitive scientists and psychologists tell us that A, all policies have two components, the material and the cognitive or moral components. B, our nation suffers from an empathy deficit disorder, empathy being a progressive moral component of all policies. And C, our empathy deficit disorder can be reversed with intentional use of empathic language and experience that protects and promotes human rights. So nurturing gods encourage us. So I've created a survey to access how nurturing our different communities are. Moreover, it was adopted from the ABCs of Teaching Human Rights, published in 2004 by the Office of the High Commission on Human Rights at the UN in New York and Geneva. I hope you'll use it soon and offer your suggestions, and I'll post it when I upload this video to YouTube. I'll post the link for that assessment survey at our YouTube channel.
Nice.
So
very nice.
So this is our post-testimonial comment period, and where we can comment. We've got a lot of, we can either go for 20, 25 minutes if we want to, or we can have a few comments, and since it's just the two of us, and hit the road. But I also want to mention that YouTube viewers of these hearings are welcome to offer written comments at the channel as well. which you should know are moderated. But if you want to comment at the YouTube channel, you feel free. So,
isn't that great?
yeah,
That's great.
so I thought I really liked what you had to say about uniforms. Because when you think of framing, Dr. Lakoff, it reminded me
Yeah.
of Dr. Lakoff's frame. The early framing theory. I forget, it was Charles, I want to say Goodwin, but I'd have to look it up. But he came up with, the frames of, say, a restaurant, or the frames of an operating room, or the frames of
Sure.
I'm going to the ball game tonight, the frames of baseball, and everybody has a uniform.
Right. Right.
Everybody has, it may be, the script may not be written out, but it's pretty recognizable language. You've got props. So yeah, I thought that was interesting, how you developed your morality. And of course we do that. This is the way we do that, isn't it? I mean, that was the whole point of this section was,
Right.
we learn our moral right from wrong from our experiences.
Exactly. And when I was, I don't know, about maybe 10, I used to have to ride the city bus to get downtown to get to grade school. And so I would see this gentleman dressed for business, and he had very dark skin, but he didn't look like my neighbors at all. And so one day the seat was open next to him, so I go and I sat next to him, and he says hello, and I said hello. And I said, where are you from? And he said, India. And I said, oh, why are there so many people in your country? I don't know why I knew that,
Said the 8-year-old, or what,
Yes,
however old you were. Yeah,
no,
right.
about 10. So he looked at me and he laughed and he said, well, we have a very old civilization. And so I thought, because I had heard Bible stories about like Methuselah, who'd lived to be 900 years. So I thought what he was, and I had seen pictures of people in India, and they were probably like yogis. So they looked 900 years old. So I thought, when he said that, I thought that the people in his country lived for centuries, and that's why the population built up. Okay.
There you go.
And I thought, wow. So I wasn't keen at all.
You changed the subject.
I was not at all keen on Hinduism because I thought that had to do with all of that. And so, after studying this and looking back, childhood memories, wow, how we are so affected by them, and what people say and what people do around children, and we're not careful enough.
Right.
We're not nearly careful enough.
Right.
And so anyway, I've just always been very curious since I was small. And I think it was because my father was in World War I. He was very old. He was 48 when I was born. Wow. I'm 76. So he was born in 1897. So I heard plenty of stories. Wow. As a small child, basically coming from a bunch of old drunks sitting around talking about World War I and
wow.
like the Depression.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what formed me.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think that's why I'm always seeking and looking to find other cultures, other people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So how did I appreciated the appreciated your take on that. And I'm glad we did this. Just the two of us went ahead and recorded this. And so it'll be if people do watch this particular one, they can see that our process can happen with just a couple of people,
Right.
just discussing and trying to apply what they're learning to their particular sphere of influence. How does this fit into, you think, to your business and trying to create that demonstration farm and
Right.
you know,
Right.
and
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel
what's the moral, I guess what's the moral reasoning behind why you are pursuing a demonstration farm?
well, that sense of caring for my that sense of responsibility and caring for, number one, the planet now, and the whole problem with the climate change, and the fact that we're not moving quickly enough,
Fast enough, yeah.
yes. And I've been I'm not a rich person, so it's taken me years to accomplish what maybe somebody else could have done more quickly. But on the other hand, I think evolution of thought is a function of time too. You just don't wake up enlightened.
Sure.
It's a process over and over again. And I just want to do whatever I can to get people to understand that maybe everything isn't perfect now, but to keep moving in that direction.
Right.
Making
Progress.
Yes, just keep making progress. And if you can't make progress, for heaven's sakes, don't fall behind. Don't start sliding backwards,
Right. Do no harm.
Yeah, yes, do no harm.
Do no harm.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
do no harm. Yeah.
So I'm good to go. Do we want to
Okay, shall
finish
we
it, close up, and
let's do.
I'll pull this up real quick. Do our closing.
And your dog is not barking now. It's so sweet. When you were talking, I could hear her saying, "Amen, brother. Amen, Amen, brother."
Right. Exactly. All right. So here's our closing.
Okay.
I am a caring citizen. I occupy
empathy.
I highly resolve that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. I am a person with human rights. I care for my own safety and happiness and that of others. I'm the solution to expanding life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And for the support of this declaration, joining caring citizens known and unknown, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Well, that was great. Nice talking with you.
Yeah, good talking to you too. And I'll tell you, Dora, Dora, the puppy dog, my office dog. I'll tell her you liked her amens.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Anita.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.